The day which we were waiting for the last 1.5 years, today it's happened.
Women running for their lives from Taliban-controlled Afghanistan to ultimately, they hope, Canada.
Unfortunately, no one is safe here, not for women.
This is an exclusive look at a mission undertaken largely in secret to help former Afghan female members of parliament and their families flee a regime that wants them dead. Among them, a frightened woman we'll call Nilofer, making a break for the border with Pakistan.
I was telling bye to my country, to my home.
We're concealing her identity, by the way, because in addition to saying goodbye to her country, she knew she was leaving some family behind and she's worried about their safety.
I cried too much at home.
She was one of 69 female MPs in the country, propped up and celebrated by countries like Canada. But then came August 15, 2021. After 20 years of war and a series of fragile governments, Taliban rule came roaring back. Suddenly, those MPs weren't women honored, they were women hunted.
I am getting ready to fly into Kabul for what may be my last time.
A Canadian, Corey Levine, who'd worked with the female MPs in Afghanistan for years, started getting the most terrifying text messages.
I was getting all these texts from Afghan friends saying the Taliban have come, I've got my gun, I'm going to shoot myself. It was really nice to know you. One said, it took me 6 hours to get home from work. There were dead bodies in the street.
Frightened women started finding any way out they could. Most of the female MPs found a way to get to Greece, where they set up an Afghan parliament in exile. But nearly a dozen ended up trapped in Afghanistan, Nilofer among them.
It was so chaotic, and they were just left behind.
Corey was desperate to help get them out, get them safely to Canada, but she knew she couldn't do this alone. She needed clout, so she gathered a group of Canadian politicians from every federal party and asked them to put away their differences and get to work.
I just thought Canadian parliamentarians should be able to relate to this situation of these parliamentarians trapped and in danger.
This is where we move.
On January 10th, 2023, she set up a meeting.
All the women are asking to do whatever it takes to get them to safety.
And she introduced the Canadians to the Afghan MP Nilofer, who told them her story.
When the Taliban regained control of country, I thought I shouldn't leave Afghanistan. I should stay with my people and serve the women of Afghanistan. I thought the Taliban had changed, that they weren't the same Taliban as before 2001. But they hadn't changed.
We should send one letter.
The Canadian parliamentarians seemed to immediately agree they had to help. So a secret plot was born to ferry the women and their families out of Afghanistan. The secrecy critical to safety.
There's no excuse.
Still, Conservative Alex Ruff had a warning for the whole group right away.
If one of these women dies before we can get them out of there, I'll be as public as I possibly can be.
A former Afghan MP and her bodyguard have been shot dead at her home in the capital, Kabul.
Terrible thing being right sometimes. Just days after Ruff's dire warning, on January 15th, 2023, the worst happened. 30-year-old Afghan MP Mursal Nabizada, one of the women the Canadian politicians vowed to help, was indeed murdered.
That has to have been a terrible day for all of you.
Yeah, sorry, I still get emotional thinking about it. She was such an incredible woman, and it was completely devastating for all of us.
We were in shock when we lost that woman. We all talked together. We were in shock. But then imagine the other women MPs. They know we lost one. For them, it's a real thing.
They needed to keep working, mostly in secret, until the time was right for you to see this. It is now.
Forget about the partisan baloney. This is about what's doing the right thing to help these former Afghan MPs.
Conservative Alex Ruff served 2 tours in Afghanistan, and these are the other MPs he's been shoulder to shoulder with quietly. Colleagues from the Bloc, the Green Party, the NDP, and members of the Liberal government.
The women's rights movement in Afghanistan was encouraged by Western countries, and Canada was certainly a big part of that. So I think as a result of that, we owe a particular obligation to the women who kind of stepped forward.
What does it take to get women, former MPs from Afghanistan? And we know where they are. We don't want the Taliban to know where they are. We want to get them here safely.
We need to make sure it happens before another
Death.
we get another phone call.
By the end of 2023, Corey Levine realized she had to go back to Afghanistan to get the women out. It was getting too complicated from afar. The rights of women there were collapsing faster all the time. The lives of the remaining female MPs even more precarious. Once back in Kabul, Corey sat with a family of the slain MP Mirsal Nabizada, including her mom Shakira and her brothers.
Oh, Marcel is a little child. Oh, very sweet.
A family full of respect for what she'd accomplished.
That was her first day of being in Parliament. You must have all been so proud of her when she went to Parliament. That was the most proud day for everybody.
This is also a family under threat, though. CBC News has verified this video of armed Taliban lurking outside their home. Leaving, the only option. The plan for Mirsal Nabizada's family was that in November of 2023, they would all get out. A last stop at her grave, a must for her mom. Corey, right there beside her. After confusion and complications with getting visas, Corey and a translator secretly paid brokers for the right visas to cross by land into Pakistan, a place so many Afghans had fled to catch their breath and figure out a next step.
More than 1.7 million Afghans have been told to leave Pakistan.
Pakistan was growing weary of hosting so many Afghans and was starting to hunt down and deport some back to Afghanistan, back into the claws of the Taliban. The women were terrified.
Illegal Afghans would be expelled if they stayed beyond the deadline.
This former politician certainly was. We'll call her Hasna.
It's a total honor to meet you.
She was in that car with Corey and Nilofer that November day in 2023 when they crossed the border from Afghanistan to Pakistan, full of hope that then turned to fear.
She's saying, I don't want to share my face still when I'm in Pakistan, still when I'm waiting here in Pakistan, the situation is not good.
Her Pakistani visa expired. She was afraid to go out, too afraid to show her face or use her real name.
She thinks that if she speak about the issues and about the Taliban, it will bring a lot of problem for her family in Afghanistan. She's saying that I'm not in that secure place.
By the time we had this conversation with her, she'd already been in hiding in Pakistan for months, waiting for the Canadians.
So can you help me understand what the block is? Because when we talk to the women, they don't understand, and they ask us. And
We don't understand either for a lot of us.
Look, our collective frustration is immense. We cannot answer the question, why is it taking so long? But I don't think that the tools that the Minister of Immigration has at his or her disposal at any given time are fit for purpose. We have a lot of a bureaucracy that has a lot of procedures and requirements. They're really trying hard, but I wonder about their tools.
in your own minds, is there like a crystallized understanding of where the blockage is?
Every case right now, because we've been going case by case with Minister Miller and his staff, every case is different that's left, so it's hard to say it's one thing.
To be honest, I don't understand why they're not here.
I share the frustration in the slowness, but I think part of the explanation is in the volume. We brought in 500,000 immigrants last year. It's difficult getting information out of Afghanistan when we don't have a diplomatic presence there. There's a lot of other people under threat in Pakistan. I know it's taking time. I know it's frustrating.
That frustration from the two MPs on the government team could be a point for opposition to strike play to the rolling cameras. Instead, it seems they really are all in this together.
Kudos to Marcus and Leah for being part of this, because I think for those of us that are not in the government party, we recognize the benefit. And I know I'm here because I see the benefit of us working together to try to influence the government. We have disagreements, like on how fast this could happen, because I'm up front. I've said this publicly. Make me the minister, I'll have them all out in 2 weeks.
I don't mean to go overboard in defending our government, but across the globe, there's like 35 million refugees. So there's a lot of people globally who are in pretty desperate situations who are asking for help.
All of this is true, and none of this helps the women who wait, including Hasna, still waiting in Pakistan by October, 10 months after she left Afghanistan, afraid of not just never getting out, but of what awaits them if they do.
I will be in a secure life environment for myself, for my family, and that will be a biggest change. Of course, I have a lot of questions about the Canada, about how I will live there, because when you are going to a new place, you will have a different experience, different people.
What's your 3 o'clock in the morning best scenario for what happens here? What's the scene you're imagining?
The scene is that they're all here. We gather to break bread. They're safe, and we're enjoying a wonderful Afghan meal all together.
So the scene is not exactly as Corey imagined it, but good news of any kind is so sweet. It's now safe to share with you that after years of trying, a few of the women and their families have now made it to Canada, including Nilofer and 6 members of her immediate family. They're now settled in BC, a new life, one Corey wants to see for herself.
I know, it's too exciting.
What you're looking at here is a mix of enormous relief and yet some guilt and enough real fear, even here, to hide their identity. There are, of course, family members and other female politicians still in Afghanistan.
I'm happy here, but from heart, I'm not happy. Because those women who are still in Afghanistan, they cannot get education. They are not allowed to work. I cannot forget it.
Forgetting isn't an option for anyone, neither is walking away from this effort. So look who was in the arrivals terminal in Toronto late one night very recently. All the Canadian MPs, with the exception of one, have made it. Flowers and balloons and flags and pride for a moment they have been waiting for. The arrival, finally, of the family of that slain Afghan MP, Mursal Nabizadeh. Her mom, Shakira, and her 3 little brothers are now here, now safe.
Shakira, do you allow yourself to have a dream now?
Mursal had a lot of dreams for people. So Mursal is not here, but these children are going to follow her steps, and they will do the same thing for the people of Afghanistan.
We love Mrs. Puri and we love Canada.
As a family, they're now moving to a small town in Ontario. The young men promising as they left that as soon as they learn English, they have so much they want to say and share and ask. What a relief. And for Canadian politicians so often mired in what is broken, a feeling of trying to make things better.
Canadians haven't a clue what you've been up to. And what do you want them to take from this experience?
Anything can be done with the right will, desire, and focus. And when we work together like this, we can help make things happen. It didn't happen as fast as some of us would like, but ultimately, the sacrifice that Marcel made and this family made, I think, made a difference.
I would so love Canadians to know that what they see on TV isn't who we really are as members of Parliament, that we work hard, we care about each other, we care about the world, and we're human beings.
If this can be an example for some political folks, then we would have done something.
Mission not yet fully accomplished. Not all the women are out, but a promise made is one the Canadian MPs say they intend to keep. Of all the failures around Afghanistan, no one wants this to be another one.